To this special broadcast here in the heart of the capital city as we bring you the rolling coverage that of course unpacks the 2020 Matric results. You have seen the latest pass rate. Of course, sadly so, we are sitting with a just over 5%, I think 5.1% drop. So I'm joined here by the Minister of Basic Education, Mayor Angie Motshekga. Thank you so much, Minister, for joining us. Regardless of the challenges, still a very high percentage for the class of 2020. Just your feelings.
I'm quite relieved, to be honest. I was expecting a bloodbath. It was a very difficult year. We had lost lots of time. We would not have even recovered, just lost hours that we lost, even if we had Saturday classes, evening classes. Actually, our learners really held their own in this very difficult time. So I'm quite relieved that we had to go through the exams. Lots of learners passed, and passed well, strange enough. Because learners in the higher level passed well. And then we had this 5.1% drop. And we will go out of our way to support them to do your June exams, but more important perhaps to encourage them to rewrite in December.
And you remain positive in your speech, saying that we should not just focus on the negative. You spoke about that there is this drop, but the overall quality, the standard that is produced is much higher than the previous years.
No, I really did find it very heartening that we had more distinctions this year comparatively. We had quite a good number of bachelor passes amongst girls, but also a number of bachelor passes from your no-fee paying schools. We also, for the first time, had more distinctions than we ever had. We had higher diplomas, so which means passes at that high level, which is what we're monitoring, had also increased dramatically.
Of course, the overall aim for the country is for the matric pass rate to just go up and never go down. So if maybe you had to bring the nation into your confidence and really talk about some of the challenges, the main challenges that may have contributed to this 5% drop.
It's the time. We lost lots of time. We also had difficulties I was told when we were doing standardization, practical lessons, things that we normally do where you also get lots of marks from your in-year assessments. We were not able to do them. And for a strange reason, I'm not complaining, we had more subjects brought down by Umalusi this year comparatively, because they said there was no evidence that this class struggled, and it really did struggle. It was quite difficult. It was difficult to teach under these conditions, and as I said, we had lost lots of time, and COVID itself had brought lots of anxiety, so that even when we had open, because of the infection rates when they were very high, it's something we had to close schools, then there was an infection, then we had to close the school for 3 days. There were just too many disruptions for these young people, and as I say, even the anxiety and the tensions of having to brave out the COVID were not easy for both learners and teachers, and parents were rightfully anxious for their children, so it was not easy.
Talking about Umalusi, you did say that you had a lot of anxiety. You were scared about how they would react and perhaps the results they would give you from their assessments. But, interestingly so, what you feared is not what came true. I mean, in the briefing that Umalusi held, they did say that there were not systemic irregularities, and they feel that the national certificate was conducted with credibility and integrity. What does that say to you if, in particular, we look at the challenges that the class of 2020 had to face?
My concern was it was such a difficult year. You didn't want anything to mar the results or to really bring a black spot on the results. The leaking of exams, it's a very serious matter. It really brings the results into disrepute, and I just felt that it's been such a difficult year. There have been so much sacrifices. You don't want to risk anything that they could turn around to say papers leaked, and just for clarity, you will prefer to rewrite so that everything is just on a clean slate. And I was very relieved that even ourselves, because by the time we took that decision for rewrite, we had not done full investigation, just we wanted to get done and over with it and have a clean results. But when we did our investigations after the court decision, we really found it difficult to prove that the paper had gone so wild that the integrity of exams has been compromised. And I think when the investigating team, because then there was this National Irregularities team, when they brought evidence to us, brought evidence to Umalusi, both of us were satisfied to say the integrity had not been compromised. But at that stage, I just felt it's too risky to really take chances with the integrity of exams in such a difficult year. And especially with a paper leak is very serious.
It is indeed. Many would agree, and I think that's why the department wanted the rewrite. Of course, in court, that is not what was ruled in favor of the department. But let's go down to the provincial performance of the matric results, the pass rates. Of course, the Free State retaining its number one position, followed by Gauteng. But there are these two provinces at the bottom, and I just saw reaction from South Africans again, expressing their dismay, unhappiness. And the question is, but what is wrong in these provinces that have performed at, the lowest rankings?
Northern Cape at some stage was the top performing province in previous years. But when we analyzed and looked into the results, we found that at GTC, at John Tolo Haidze, they really had performed badly. One, because of language, Setswana as a language performed badly. And Setswana, or your home language, it determines whether you pass or fail. And there were problems with Setswana generally in these exams, and it impacted on them in that area. It's one of the factors that affected Northern Cape. But for a strange reason, I really was, and I'm still going to speak to the MEC to say what else happened at JTC that brought down the results. In the Eastern Cape, again, Eastern Cape was doing relatively well, and they seem to really have not done well. They had a very big drop. Northwest, if you remember, there were just too many problems. That led even to your section 101B. There were lots of difficulties. When there was a road, when people fought about the road, the schools would close down. So Northwest, politically, the instability in that province would have pulled down, because that province works very well. If you recall, last year they were number 3. But this year they lost almost 10%. So, and we really, as I say, for me, it was a political disruptions and instability in the province.
And what's the relationship between national and these provinces? Do you give them enough support? Because it's really a trend now in terms of the poor performance compared to the other provinces, and the gaps are really too wide. If you look at the percentage that the Free State managed to back compared to the lowest performing, where is the problem? And as I said, people want to know, because it's through this, discussions that we can actually find solutions to these problems.
We work very close with our provinces. Despite the fact that we meet almost bi-monthly with the provinces, every term, second month, I also meet with district managers so that they can share experiences. We can go to each other. We can be able to say, here in Gauteng, they're doing things this way. Please look at them. Because there are 72 districts. So it's not possible from national to give intense support to them. But the weak districts we always visit. And the only thing we can advise the MEC to say, we don't think we have a person fit for purpose. Can we just sort out? Because, for instance, in Limpopo, Skukuni just always underperforms, and they're keeping the same director. So you can advise on the basis of monitoring tools, but what we do mostly is to give them support. We visit them frequently. There are few provinces, all the provinces, all the districts that, for instance, were mentioned, I've been to them. I've been to Fezile, I've been to Omamatel, and that's why I know all the district directors. We interact with them a lot, get them to share experiences, but at the end of the day, it's the strength of district directors that I see driving. You see Gauteng, even when I was there, it's such a prestigious position to be a district director. It's such a powerful position. So they're very fussy about who becomes a district director in Gauteng. And those district directors fight very hard to make sure that their schools perform. So we're able to, or what we do as national is to monitor, to support, to point where the areas, get them to compare notes and share notes.
We're running out of time. Just the last one. We, of course, coming from the challenges of 2020, it is now focusing on the class of 2021. Of course, it's shoulder to the wheel for them. But the political challenges that remain, in particular your relationship with the unions and other stakeholders, what should be done to manage that in a healthy way so that we do not see some of, the political impasses that we saw in the previous years, even last year, that compromises education in the country?
In Sotho they're saying, people who stay together, it's healthy for them to fight. Because when they fight, they're able to show each other their weaknesses, and then at the end, you come out stronger. Our fight, for instance, with unions last year, to be honest, when we were reopening schools, it was such a difficult and painful fight, but it made us even work better. So by the time we finished with the fights, things were better than they could have been. Even this year, we work close with them, we quarrel with them, and it helps us even when we prepare. So I'm not saying I'm enjoying the fights, but I appreciate sometimes when unions point weaknesses, because half the time they come with facts to say, no, we are saying this is happening, but this is a fact. And it's helpful.
I have to cut you there, Minister. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Of course, the Minister of Basic Education just giving us reaction after the 2020 Matric results were announced here in Pretoria. Fortunately, as I said, we have run out of time. It is back to studio.
All right, thank you very much to Patricia Vasahi there for us in Pretoria, speaking to the Minister of Basic Education, Angie Motshekga. All right, well, that's